What if I told you that some of the most resilient, pasture-efficient, and historically rich cattle breeds in the world are on the verge of disappearing? Critically endangered cattle aren't just a loss to agriculture. They're a loss to biodiversity, sustainability, and food independence. These breeds were forged by tough environments, selected over centuries for traits we're now starting to value again, like low-input grazing, disease resistance, and strong maternal instincts. Today, we're diving into some of the rarest cattle breeds still hanging on by a thread, most of which you've probably never seen. Let's start with a truly unique one. We're starting off a little differently. The American yak isn't technically a cow, but it's in the same bovine family, and in the US it's being raised like cattle, for meat, milk, and fiber. The rest are cows, we promise. Originally domesticated thousands of years ago in the Himalayas, the yak is perfectly adapted for cold, mountainous environments. Think long, harsh winters, poor forage, steep terrain, and they thrive in it. In North America, a small population exists, but pure genetics are critically endangered. Yaks produce incredibly lean, flavorful meat with less cholesterol than beef. Their milk is rich and creamy, prized in Nepal and Tibet, and their thick coats can be harvested for wool, similar to alpacas. They're also surprisingly calm and intelligent, making them great for small farms with the right setup. Not all are calm, so do your research before committing. So why haven't they caught on? Mostly because they don't fit the commercial beef model. They grow slower, don't do well in heat, and their small size means less total yield per animal. They also have higher fencing needs. But for cold climates or farms looking to diversify, the American yak offers an eco-friendly, low-input alternative to conventional beef. Fun fact, yaks have 3 times the lung capacity of a cow, which helps them survive high altitudes and bitter cold. Next up is the milking Devon, one of the oldest cattle breeds in America. These deep red beauties arrived in the early 1600s with English colonists and were prized for being triple-purpose milk, meat, and draft. For over 200 years, the milking Devon powered family farms, pulling plows, hauling goods, producing rich milk, and providing tender beef. But with the industrialization of agriculture, they fell out of favor. Specialized dairy and beef breeds took over, and by the mid-1900s, the milking Devon was nearly extinct. So why should we bring them back? They're incredibly hardy, thrive on forage alone, and adapt well to tough conditions, making them ideal for low-input regenerative farms. Their milk is high in butterfat, perfect for cheese-making, and they're calm and intelligent, easy to work with if trained young. Fun fact: during the American Revolution, milking Devons were driven overland for hundreds of miles to feed soldiers on the front lines. Randall Lineback, the heritage homesteader. The Randall Lineback, also called the Randall or Randall cattle, is a living piece of New England's past. These cattle descend from the old landrace breeds kept by early Vermont and New Hampshire families for centuries. They're known for their striking looks, usually white with dark lineback markings along their spine and sides. But more than looks, they're valued for their adaptability, gentle temperament, and strong mothering instincts. Randalls are true survivors. They thrive on pasture alone, even in poor conditions. They calve easily, resist disease, and are ideal for small-scale milk and beef production. Their milk is rich and creamy, and their meat is flavorful and fine-grained, so why are they so rare? By the mid-20th century, as small dairies vanished and industrial farming took over, the Randall almost disappeared. One family in Vermont kept them alive for decades, and thanks to their dedication, there's still a small breeding population today. Fun fact: every living Randall Lineback today descends from that one Vermont herd. Talk about a genetic bottleneck. Texas Longhorn, CTLR, the true Old West survivor. Now let's talk about a breed that practically defines the American West. The Texas Longhorn, specifically those registered with the Cattlemen's Texas Longhorn Registry, CTLR. Not all Texas Longhorns are the same. The CTLR preserves the most genetically pure bloodlines, animals that haven't been crossed with modern breeds and still retain the traits that help them survive harsh frontier conditions for centuries. These cattle are tough. They can survive on scrub, withstand blazing heat, calve unassisted, and fend off predators. Their iconic horns can reach up to 7 feet from tip to tip, but they're not just for show. These horns are part of what kept them alive through centuries of rough terrain and predators. So why are they critically endangered? Because the push for faster-growing, heavier-muscled beef breeds left these slow-growing survivors behind. yet their unique genetics offer disease resistance, climate resilience, and easy calving. All qualities modern agriculture desperately needs. Fun fact, Texas Longhorns were once so plentiful they roamed wild by the millions. But by the 1920s, they were nearly extinct. Without small groups like CTLR, we could have lost this living symbol of American grit. Dutch Belted, the Oreo cow with dairy royalty status. Meet the Dutch Belted, sometimes called the Oreo cow because of its dramatic black or red coat with a crisp white belt around the middle. But these cows are more than just eye candy. They're royalty in the dairy world. Originating from the Netherlands, the Dutch Belted breed was imported to the US in the 1800s and quickly gained popularity for their buttery-rich milk, perfect for cheese and cream. In fact, P.T. Barnum even showcased them in his traveling circus because of their striking appearance and docile nature. So why are they endangered? The rise of Holsteins in the 20th century, with their higher volume milk output, pushed out heritage dairy breeds like the Dutch Belted. Sadly, the push for volume came at the cost of flavor and fat content, and Dutch Belteds were nearly forgotten. But there's a resurgence. Small creameries and artisan dairies are rediscovering their value. These cows are long-lived, easy to manage, and a great fit for grass-fed operations. Fun fact, Dutch Belted milk has a higher butterfat content than Holsteins, making it especially prized for butter and cheese and honestly, way tastier in your morning coffee. Lincoln Red, the quiet powerhouse of British beef. If you're looking for a calm, hardy, and highly efficient beef breed, the Lincoln Red might be the unsung hero you've never heard of. Developed in England in the 1800s, Lincoln Reds are one of the first truly defined British beef breeds. They're deep red, muscular, and naturally polled, meaning they're born without horns, which many farmers prefer for safety and ease. Lincoln Reds are known for their easy temperament, excellent feed conversion, and ability to thrive on pasture alone. Their meat is tender, marbled, and flavorful, a favorite of chefs in the know. So why did they fall out of favor? The beef industry shifted to even larger, faster-growing breeds, often requiring heavy grain feeding. Lincoln Reds didn't keep pace in size or feedlot efficiency, despite their many pasture-based strengths. Today, they're critically endangered, but for small-scale farmers focused on regenerative systems, Lincoln Reds offer genetics that are perfectly suited to grass-based low-input models. Fun fact, Lincoln Reds were originally dual-purpose, used for both milk and meat, making them a great all-around homestead breed. Kerry, the little cow with ancient Irish roots. And finally, let's journey to Ireland to meet the Kerry, a small, elegant black cow with sweeping horns and a legacy stretching back more than 1,000 years. This is one of the oldest dairy breeds in Europe, developed in southwest Ireland for tough mountain conditions. Kerrys are small but mighty. They produce a surprising amount of rich, high butterfat milk, often on poor forage where other breeds would struggle. Kerry cows were once the backbone of rural Irish life, providing milk, manure, and sometimes meat for subsistence farmers. Their genetics are incredibly unique, hardy, long-lived, and efficient. But like so many heritage breeds, they were pushed aside by modern dairy giants like Holsteins and Friesians. Their smaller size and slower milk output made them commercially inefficient. And now, fewer than 500 breeding females remain in the world. Fun fact, the Kerry cow is so important to Irish history that it's been featured in ancient poetry and protected by national breeding programs. Some have lived over 20 years and still calved regularly, nearly unheard of in modern dairies. So there you have it. From the ancient Kerry of Ireland to the rugged American yak, these critically endangered cattle breeds aren't just beautiful or historic, they represent resilience, genetic diversity, and farming traditions that could be lost forever if we don't pay attention. In a world increasingly dominated by a few commercial breeds, heritage cattle offer something different: adaptability, hardiness, and traits that could be essential in the face of changing climates and shifting food systems. If you're a homesteader, small-scale farmer, or just a fan of rare breeds, supporting heritage breeds matters. That might mean choosing milk or meat from these rare animals, supporting breeders, or even raising some yourself. Which of these breeds surprised you the most? Have you ever seen or owned one of them? Let us know in the comments. And if you found this video interesting, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more rare breed spotlights, and share it with a fellow cow lover. Together, we can help preserve these living treasures, one pasture at a time.